Okay, so we've got the shell of the building done essentially, and there are little bits we can fine tune, like those different panels and things like that, and the balustrade would be another good one to add in. I'll leave that for now, and we'll get on to materials, because it's, after all, it's an interiors project, and we've got a lot of different materials there that you need to show. So the panelled wall there I thought was a really interesting one, because you've got horizontal panels on this wall, but then you probably all noticed on the balustrade. Oh no, they're horizontal. Oh sorry, that's so much fun. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm sure they're vertical. Where are we? Yep, there we go. So vertical panels there. So it's essentially the same material, but the panels are in different directions. So that should give you a good chance to play with the options you have for textures. Right, so I'm going to put a wall in first for that wall alongside the stair. So that's, it's a shame the resolution's not great. These are Max DePayne photos, in case anyone was wondering. He's a really well-known architectural photographer. All those black and whites. Okay, so we can see there the wall goes up to just above the balustrade, or the bottom of it, which should be level 1. Oh, and I wanted to see where it lines up with the stair. So there it's lining up with the, yeah, we'll say it's the inside of that mullion, which we can't see in this plan. Oh yes we can, so in there. Okay, so that again, there's always a reason. So with Sidelight especially, his designs were really well thought out, and so it's clear when you look at the photo and then you look here, you can see it makes sense to have this wall starting on the corner of the solid wall there. So using the wall tool, it's going to keep it simple and use a 100mm wall as a starting point. So I'm just going to go to generic 100mm. And I think I'll draw it in first, and then I'll come back and show you how to do the material afterwards. So I'm just going to make sure that my base offset and top offset are 0. So it's starting on my ground floor and going up to level 1. And the location line on finish face, doesn't really matter here, exterior or interior. I'll do interior just for something different. And then starting on the corner of this wall, I'm going to go up. Now notice it's gone to the left of my grid line, so I'm going to press space as I'm drawing to flip it. Yep. And I'm going to take it up just to below my stair, because I don't really know where the balustrade is in this floor plan. I can't see it. And notice how now as well, looking back at this curtain wall, Revit's gone and moved that for me, thinking it's helping me out, when actually it's causing a problem. So this will happen quite often with your wall joins. So remember, you can select a wall like this, right click on the grip at the end and go to disallow join, and now I can drag that endpoint to where I want it to be. So you've got to select the wall first, yeah, and then find the grip at the end and right click on it, and then you'll see disallow join. Oh, now so I've just, at the top there, I've just guessed where it's going to finish, because I don't really know until I have a look on level 1. So it's, well, it's easy here because my stair lines up with the end of that wall, so I'm simply going to take it to the end of the stair. Yeah. It goes a little bit beyond actually, because it does overlap a little bit. Well, again there, okay, so notice here I've taken it past the stair, but it doesn't want to go past it because it's joining it to the wall above that we can't see. So I'm going to again right click on that grip at this end, disallow join, and then just drag it a little bit further just to get that extra little detail, which is a nice thing. So there, notice how it notches in slightly to that wall. Okay, so this will be a good view to do the materials, because in this 3D view I should be able to see them. It's set to realistic. So this is a view where I've turned on my section box. So in your view properties. So I'll make a new one with, so I've just gone to my default 3D view, so 3D in brackets. So I'm going to duplicate that by right clicking, and I'll go to duplicate view, and then duplicate. And then in properties it should say 3D view at the top. And you can scroll down and find section box. Just tick that. So I'm going to bring the top down this time to show me kind of a cutaway plan. And the roof is really in the way there, so I'm just going to select it, right click, and then hide in view elements. So that gives me a nice view into the interior. Just bring that down a bit further if I need to. So if the section box is getting in the way, you can always hide it the same way. When you select it, right click, hide in view elements. And don't be afraid to hide things, because they're easy to bring back and they won't be hidden in your other views. So this is my original 3D view, and you can see the roof is still visible there, but in my new one it's hidden. And so again there I've noticed there's a problem with this wall. It's doing the same thing, it's trying to join with my new wall, this entry wall that we did. So I can again go back to the floor plan for that level, find the grip at the end of that wall, right click, disallow join, and then drag it across. All these little things. Even the new wall, it's done it as well. So, and you can see then why it's doing all this, because it's joining to down here. And so I bet you in real life they would have had an interesting time working out this detail, because yeah, that panel would have had to come across, and so what I might show you is a little extra option you have for walls. So back on my ground floor plan, I'm going to go to the Modify tab and use the Wall Joins tool, which is one that you probably haven't used much before, but it's really useful. In the Geometry panel, it's just next to the Join button. You'll see the one that has a little corner of a wall. So click onto that and then find the corner there. You can try using the next option. So notice how, as I cycle through, it's changing the way it's joining the walls. Instead of having the big thick wall going all the way to the end, it's got the thinner wall going all the way to the end. So you've got to use the Wall Joins tool in here on Modify. No, just click on the Modify tab, and then you find it next to the Join button. No, so then you use the next button. So after you've clicked on Wall Joins, then you need to hover, so Wall Joins, and then hover over that corner and you'll get a square, click to bring that up, and then you'll get the previous and next buttons. And you just need to click on next until it looks like this. So up on the options bar. Oh, as long as you get a vertical line like that, that's all you need. So as long as it goes to at least the window, that's all that matters. And it's so that basically when we're looking at the inside of that wall, the timber panels will run all the way to the end here instead of getting this solid wall poking through. Just a little thing, but it can be annoying when you're looking at the interior. Ah, right. Oh, you might. Yeah, I'll have a look at it and I'll come with you. Okay, Stash, I've noticed another problem here. This is why I said it would have been an interesting detail to work out, because it's messed up my entry. So I have to go back now into entry level, all these little details, but it's worth getting it right. And I'm going to right click on that little endpoint there and then disallow join and drag it back to here anyway. So that should sort it out. And then finally, looking in the 3D view, got to go back to ground floor now. Disallow join, and so you'll have to fix the solid wall. It's a lot of back and forth, but eventually it should be right. So that now is right, except that these walls overlap in plan. It's only a very minor thing, but if you're going over this when you look at the video, you can use the join tool to join those together. Again, I wouldn't be too concerned about it, but if you want it to be perfect, then that's how you do it. And there we go, finally looking good. So there's the outside, that looks good, and most importantly the inside is looking right. Like I said, if there are little issues with that corner though, don't worry too much. I can come and have a look at any problems you've got. So the main thing is to get off the materials, and that's what I want to do next. So I'm going to select this wall and just get onto that. Like I said, don't worry if your corner's not perfect, as long as you've got the wall there. And so now I'm going to select it, edit type, and then I want to make a new kind of wall. It's still going to be 100 mil. I'm going to keep all mine 100 mil thick because it's a nice simple number to work with, but I want the material to be different. So it's really important here that I duplicate and give it a new name. So I'm going to call it timber panel horizontal. $100 mil. You could give it a simpler name if you want to, but it's just to remind you what it is. So I'm going to click OK, and then go and change the structure. So I'm going to click Edit there next to Structure. And if you're making this for construction and you want to show all of the parts, you could add in all of the layers. So in real life, think about what you would have to make this wall. So what do you think there would be to support a wall like this? Oh, there could be, but probably even simpler than that. It's probably just stud work. So it's probably timber stud. It could be steel frame, but it's more likely timber. So just timber stud work, like you have in a partition wall, with the panels nailed or fixed to it directly. So you'd have three levels, three layers. You'd have the two layers of timber paneling on either side, and then the timber stud on the inside. And you could make it like that. But because you're doing a concept level presentation, then you can leave that structure out and just do the one layer with this timber panel material. So that's what I'll do. And so there it's got finish, you'll see as the material. I'm just going to click Browse to change that. And just want to spend a bit of time going through, again, how to make a material. But this time we'll do a copy of an existing material. And so make sure you know both ways. You can by now make it by going to the library and getting it from there, But when you scroll down in the list of materials in your project, you should see one called something like wood sheathing plywood. If you don't have that, just use another one that's close to it, as long as it's some wood material. Really, it doesn't matter which one. Oh, just by selecting the material. So you just need to find it in the list on the left. So wood sheathing plywood is all you need to find, or any wood, honestly. It doesn't matter which one it is, as long as it's a wood. And then right click on that material and duplicate. So call it wood panel horizontal. Oops. Panel horizontal. Okay, so up until now I've just been getting you to use the graphics panel to also use the colour from the appearance panel to set the colour in graphics just by ticking that use render appearance option. But here, that's not going to work very well. So instead I'll get you to choose a colour just by clicking on the colour swatch on graphics. And essentially what you're trying to do is get a colour that it'll show in your viewports. And actually that one looks a bit olivey. So I'm going to get a different brown as my starting point. Over in the basic colours you'll find a brown there. I'm going to use a second from the bottom in the second column there. And then using the brightness you can just adjust that. So remember, this is a graphical representation, it's not the rendering. So any brown, and you can easily fine tune this anyway, it's not really that important as long as it's some sort of brown, and I'm just trying to go for a darkish brown. But the main thing here is that we also, as well as setting a colour, set a surface pattern. So there I'm going to click where it's got none next to pattern under surface pattern. Okay, and so with surface patterns, I think it's a good rule of thumb just to use model. Every time, if you're not sure, set it to model. So you've got two options, you've got drafting and model at the bottom. So just try to remember, surface patterns should generally be model. And if you forget, I'll show you a good way to remember, cut patterns should be the opposite. Right, so cut patterns, if you click on the swatch there, they even remind you, because model's not an option for cut patterns. So model should always be drafting patterns, or they can only be drafting patterns. So that might remind you that surface pattern is the other one. So surface pattern should be model. And then we've just got to set a spacing. So 150mm horizontal might be okay. If you've got 100mm horizontal, I'll use that instead. 75. Yeah, actually they're probably pretty close to 75, so let's just use that. 75mm horizontal, that's what I'll use. There is 100? Oh yes it is, oh yeah, I'm blind. Yep, 100mm horizontal, yep. If you don't have 100mm, just use any of the horizontal really, it doesn't matter all that much. It's only graphical. Okay, so any horizontal lines really will give the impression that we're after. So I might just show you that. If I click OK, and then keep clicking OK, notice in my realistic view, I can't see those lines. It's just some sort of wood. But if I change it now to shaded, I can see the lines. Might be a bit hard on the projector there, so I'll just get a different angle, and there you can see them. Now, if it looks a bit dark and too hard to see the lines, that's just to do with the shading. So, as well as shaded, you've got the option there, consistent colours. And what consistent colours will do is just take off that extra shading that it does to simulate the lighting. So you might have wondered why have we got shaded and consistent colours. They're both shaded, but consistent colours essentially will always give you the same colour regardless of the angle of the surface. Okay, so hopefully I can give you some ideas about how you can use those graphics properties to get a graphical representation of your material. It's not a picture, but it is, or it's not a photorealistic picture, but it is a graphic of your material. And they can be really useful views to have. You don't always need to have a photorealistic view. And so for isometrics and axonometrics, they're often better than the photorealistic materials that you set up with appearance. So I'm actually thinking about those graphics properties as well. But I'm going to go back now and set the appearance for this as well. So selecting that timber again, or sorry, selecting the wall again, edit type, edit structure, back to my material there by clicking browse. And now I'll go to the appearance tab. So I'm just going to remind you here, when you see a number there, be careful because that means another material is using this appearance. So the best option there is to right click on the appearance tab. Basically whenever you see a number above the hand there, it's shared, and decide whether you need to duplicate or replace. Just do one of those things. Now here I want to get a material from the library, so I'm going to go to replace. That's probably the option you want mostly. Replace. And then again you can remind yourselves you're on the appearance tab. So here you go to the appearance library by clicking on the arrow, and there is a wood folder there which has all sorts of solid timber materials, but I'm going to go to the flooring folder instead. And if I click on the little arrow there, you'll see there's a wood folder under flooring where you have all these different wood panel materials. Yeah, there's lots of. They're pretty good. They are mostly northern hemisphere, especially American. Yeah, it's a shame because you'd think being northern hemisphere they'd have all sorts of oaks, but the oak they've got is pretty average. So, but the others timbers are good. So anyhow, the one I'm going to choose is the hardwood planks for now. Double click. So I'm just going to double click on hardwood planks there. The other one they don't have is larch, unfortunately. The larch is... Yeah, they'll all be locked. So this is a library that's always the same on every computer, so you can't adjust it. But you're just using that as a starting point. So I'm going to double click there on hardwood planks to bring that into my material. So yeah, you won't see it, but it will be there when you close it. Yeah. Okay, so that is not bad as a starting point, but I want to get a better image than that. So going down to the name, you can see there we've got the swatch first, and then below that we've got the name. I'm going to click on that file name, and then show you again the material library. I think I've shown you it before, but yeah. So clicking on the mats look-in folder here, I can go down to P drive, interior design, interior images, wood, and I will never remember these names, but I have one here that I know is going to work pretty well. So I'm just going to go to larger icons, so you can always go to large icons. So there we are, that's what I want. So just C to 2, it's the third one in the list there. So material images and then wood.
Yeah. And then after American.
Oh yeah, sorry, scroll down. Yeah, so I scrolled down. I didn't realise. So C to 2. Yep. Yeah. Yes, it's a bitmap. Yeah. Yeah.
There. No. There. Yeah.
Yep. Now, what's going on there with that? Something funny happening with that preview there. Is everyone's going like that?
Yeah.
Alright, I think it's just a formatting thing. So I'm going to go and fix that. So that's not right. It shouldn't look like that. And this can happen when formats change. So this will give you a quick intro to Photoshop, and we're going to do more on this in a little while. So it's a bitmap format, and bitmap is a format that's been used a lot over the years, but it's a little bit old, and I'd say the way it's been stored is basically not working properly with Mint Array anymore. So I'll give that a minute to open. While that's happening, we can do the other settings anyway. So I'm going to click on the swatch. So just above the file name, you can click on the image swatch there. And do you remember what this should look like? So there, we can see there's the column. That's not. Yeah. Well, if you want that, then maybe you can use the original. But no, and that's kind of good. It's actually a really good design exercise to choose furnishings that fit in with an existing design. But yeah, I know it's also a little bit limiting. So, but there you can see, as well as this funny preview, we've got these funny properties. So remember, if these things don't mean anything to you, it's not right. Offset X, offset Y, and more importantly, UV scale, that won't mean anything to you unless you've used another 3D program, which I don't think you have. So, do you remember what to do when you see that happen? That's it, exactly. Close it down, just click OK, and then go back in. And that will fix it. A lot of these little issues with Revit, I don't know why they don't fix these, but usually it does get fixed on its own when you reopen it. So there, notice how it's lost all those properties that were pretty meaningless, and we've got things that are a bit more meaningful here. We've got position, offset, X and Y, so that's its starting point, and then more importantly we've got a size there in millimetres. You've got to get all the way out and then go all the way back. Yeah. C to 2. Did you go to material images on the P drive? And then wood. So, and then wood. Yeah. Yeah, you probably do. Yeah, just got to go into the wood folder there. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, sure. Okay, so we'll adjust the properties there in a moment, but I think I'll get you to bring in the copy that I'm going to fix anyway, because once I do that, you'll see the actual image. So here you can see when Photoshop stops loading its welcome screen. It won't take long to fix this. So, and it gives you a bit of an idea about Photoshop as well. So if you haven't got it, then when you do get it, and it does this, if it's looking like it's open but it's not doing anything, it is still going to load in the end. It's just loading its startup. So there you go. So now it's working, and that's common now with Photoshop. Now it's also gone and now it's totally frozen. That's great. These computers today. So it's gone and locked itself on the brush tool. It should wake up in a moment. I love it when this happens. There we go. So I think that's still, there we go. Was still low. So, okay, so we've got the image in there. Just zoom in so you can see it. It's not the highest resolution, but it's enough for what we need. So I'm going to just go save as and change the format to one of the more commonly used modern formats. You could even use JPEG, but I'm going to use an even better one, PNG. So I'm going to keep the same name, C2 PNG, and leave the default options there. Yeah, that'll do. So now I can just go and choose C2 PNG instead of C2 BMP, and magically it's working now. So it's okay, but notice how it's actually a little bit off. So there you can tell that it's repeating.
Yeah.
Now we may get away with that, but okay, but maybe I'll give you a quick little Photoshop demo right now. If you want to make that less obviously tiling, one way is just to increase the canvas size. Okay, so I'm going to make it 3 times, so it's 3.81 and times 3. It's too late in the week for me to be doing maths, so calculator. Should be able to do this in my head, but let's just do this. Times 3 is 11.543, yeah. And then 2.47 times 3 is 7.41. Right, so now I'm just going to select the original image. Now I should have selected it before, but I should be able to. Actually, what I'll do, I'll show you another trick. So I'm going to select it first. Just go with me on this one. So we're going to with a Windows make a selection, and then go copy to clipboard, and then go back to canvas size and put those measurements in again. So 7.41 and what was it, 11.43? Yep. Right, so now I can paste. So I'm just using Control V or edit on the edit menu. I can go to paste, and then I can drag my copy across and it will snap to the edge, and then Control V again and snap it. So notice how where it joins on the left and the right as well, it's obvious that we've got a seam there. So I'm going to go back to layer 1 and then go to the edit menu and go down to transform and then flip horizontal. Right, so now the seam is invisible because it's joining up with a copy of itself. So if I go to layer 2, I'll do the same thing. Edit menu, transform, oops, flip horizontal. Righto. Okay, so again the seam's invisible now. Okay, so next I'm going to paste in another copy. So it's really starting to slow down a bit, but it should be okay. So here we go, paste. And this time I'll drag it up. And again, I can see the seam. So, making sure I'm still layer 3 this time. Transform. Flip vertical. Right, okay, so again now the seam's virtually invisible because it's joining up with a copy of itself. And again, Control V. And transform, flip vertical. Okay, so now I need copies of layers 2 and layer 1. So with those, I should be able to go Control A and then Control T. Let me see. No, it's not doing it right. So I'm just going to do a marquee. So it will should snap. Close enough. I'm going to put the layers underneath anyway. So as long as I've got the top and the bottom, so using a rectangular marquee there, and I'm selecting on layer 1, so I've got to make sure I've got that layer selected over here. You can see from the preview it's this side. So now here I'm going to use Control C on the keyboard, Control V, and then drag my new copy up, and then again transform, flip vertical, Control V, and again transform, flip vertical, and then keep doing that for the other two. There we go. Okay, so there's still a little bit of a seam there, but you get away with it. And if you want to, later, once you know how to use the clone stamp, I'll show you how you can take that out as well. But that's good enough for now. So that's one fairly easy way of making seamless textures out of ones that have a seam. So let's call it Cedar 2 Seamless. And again, I'm just going to save it as a PNG. And now back into Revit. I can just hit the image name there, Cedar 2, and then choose the next one. Okay, so then, now the top and the bottom, am I thinking right? I might have to... Anyway, we'll leave it like that for now. That's good enough because it's a nice big texture. And then the size. So I'm going to change the rotation angle there to 90 so that it's a horizontal pattern. And then it's probably easy to count the panels in Photoshop. Now, so let me just think about this. Yeah, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to just change that so you can use it without having to have any repeating textures or any repeating tiles. So that one's okay. It was that one, and where's the other one at the top? Ah, this one. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to crop this to there. That should be better. And also to the side. So here I've got a dark joining to a light, so I've done one too many there as well. So I was thinking of setting it up for mirroring, and I always forget Revit doesn't have the option for mirrors. So there we go. That's better. Okay, so I'll choose that image again just to make sure it updates. Okay, so looking at it in here, the seam's still a little bit too visible, but anyhow, I'll live with it. Okay, so we've got, actually I don't think it's updating. Yeah. Okay, so trick there, if you change it to something else, just anything else, and then choose it again. That's it, that's got it. Okay, so I just needed a bit of waking up. Okay, so we've got there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 boards in that image. So we want the boards to be about 100 mil wide in the scene. So if there are 14 of them, that means it's going to be 1400. So it's 1400 for the width. Oh no, sorry, because I've rotated it. So it'll be 1400 for the height. And it's actually stretching that out a little bit, but that's okay, we'll live with it. So the main thing is 1400 for the height. Hit done, and then you should see that in the preview there. Now it's on a fairly small cube. Oh, the width will be whatever it changes to. It'll change automatically. So just put the height to 1400 and then the width will set itself. So I'm going to click on the down arrow here and then go to scene and then wall. So you can see that more clearly. So notice it looks a bit strange because it's got this reflectivity. So I'm just going to turn that off. Don't want any reflectivity. And then I'm going to put in bump, and actually this has gone now to a, oh how painful. So it's defaulted to a generic. So I didn't notice that, that was stupid of me. Yeah, okay. So you're going to have to do a change there, which is a bit annoying, but we have to do it. Okay, so here I just totally missed it. It's on generic, and that doesn't have the property I want, and we need this property. So I'm going to go back to Appearance, right click, and then Replace, and then find in Appearance Library under wood. I'm just going to get any wood material, doesn't matter which one. So I'll start, or I'll just use the first one so it's easy to remember. And you're over. Never heard of it, but no, it's another generic. No, okay, don't use that one. Sorry, Replace. Oh, here we go. So I should have looked at the type there. That tells you. So these, notice they're all generics. We need one that's a wood. So birch natural medium gloss is the first wood one there. So I'm going to use that. So notice how here it says wood in the material type. You need that option. And so it's easy to go back and change the material properties here, clicking on the image swatch. I can set the name to that same file again. It's all good practice. And so here, Cedar 2 seamless, rotation 90, width, height 1400. Finish, I might make it satin, even though unfinished might be good as well. So just below the name, once you get out of there, you've got those options. Either satin varnished or unfinished. I think I'll use unfinished. And then for the relief pattern, once you click the tick there, you can just leave it on based on wood grain. So that's the option we didn't get with generic. You can increase that value if you want to. So notice how when you increase that amount, that you'll get the grooves coming up in your pattern. And if I go now to wall, that should be even clearer. Well, so it takes a bit of setting up, but once you do all of that, have a look at it in realistic, and it should look pretty good. So I think I'll just show you how to do it on the other one, and then the fireplace I can do really quickly, but Just want to make sure I've got time for Photoshop. I think we'll be okay. So this other wall, and this would be the same if you didn't do the first one. Okay, so with that second wall, now I can just choose timber panel horizontal 100mm from the type selector here. So I can start with that wall type that I've already set up, and all I've got to do is then change them to vertical. Yeah, exactly. Once you select it, go to edit type, duplicate, and this will be timber panel vertical. $100mm. Edit type. Go to find the material. And then this might make it clearer why you duplicate over here, because if you think about it, wood panel horizontal is already being used by the wood panel, timber panel horizontal wall. So if I change this material without duplicating it, even though I've duplicated the wall, it will still change that other wall because the other wall uses this material. So I'm going to duplicate this material and call it wood panel vertical. So remember, you can right click on the material name to get that duplicate option, and then I can change the graphics without doing any more. I can just click on the pattern there and change it to, well, if there was 100mm vertical in the list, I could choose that. I don't think there is, so I'll show you how to make it. It's really easy. Just click on the new button, and then the name will be 100mm vertical. The line angle 90, and then line spacing 1, so work that out, 100mm. So it's just like drawing a cross hatch. You just set the angle and then the spacing. And so now the appearance I need to duplicate. So I'm going to right click there and duplicate. On the appearance tab, so I've got a copy of this render appearance, and I can simply then click on the image swatch and change the angle or the rotation there back to 0, and that's it. Okay, so then this one I think is the same, so I can just choose that from the list now. Now, this wall is probably different on the other side. Okay, so I've been showing, and also notice how this here is a bit strange wrapping around that way on the top. So up until now I've been showing you the long, probably tedious way of assigning materials. But you can see how once you've assigned the materials that way by going into properties and setting it all up correctly, then it's easy to apply those properties to another wall, because you can just choose that wall type from the list. So for your main walls and your main materials, it's really important to go through that process and get everything set up. But now I'm going to show you the quick and easy way of assigning materials. Now that we've done all that hard work. Okay, so you've got this wall here, which, like I was saying, on the inside of the bedroom is probably just a paint finish. I'm assuming. It might not be, but let's just say it is.
That's where
Yeah, next to the dumbwaiter, yeah, all of that. So on that side I'm sure it is just a plain finish, or it probably is. But then on the other side it's probably a timber finish, like we've been doing. So I'm sure you've seen in the layers you can go and assign using properties, and here because I've got vertical panels there, horizontal panels there as well. Okay, so you can use the methods I've been showing you to set up in the wall. But like I said, I'm going to show you a quicker and easier way if you just want to set a material on one side or on one surface, and that's to use the paint tool. So I don't think I've shown you this one yet. Raj might have shown you because he often starts this way. So do you remember using this one in the same panel as that wall joins tool and the join tool on the modify tab, you'll find paint. Just above the demolish button, which I'm sure you've all been dying to use as well, there you've got paint. Okay, so make sure you know about that tool, really important for interiors. When you choose the paint button, it'll give you a list of all your materials. So with this one, you need the materials already made. You can't make materials on the fly while you're using it. But if you've got a material there, you just need to choose it. So here I've got my wood panel vertical. Leave this open, and then you can choose any surface and assign a material to it. So how easy is that? And so there we've got these panels here. So this here is just a plain timber panel. So my vertical panel will work really well there. But then on the top, the vertical's not working so well when it wraps around there. So I can switch over to my horizontal material and then choose the top of that wall. Okay, and so how much better is that? Same over here. Okay, so this wall, if you look in the photo, you just got to choose the middle of choose inside the surface. Just see when you move your cursor around, it'll highlight the thing it's going to choose.
You don't highlight the whole, like, say, block?
Yeah, it does. It does the whole surface. Yeah, so that's how it works. You've got to break it up into smaller surfaces otherwise. So this wall here has a that horizontal pattern on this side, but notice here is a good example. So there, it's gone all the way to the end, and I don't want that. So I'm going to undo that last one. And what you can do there is use split. So you've got just the regular split element option in your modify panel. And it might be easiest to go back to plan. Split, just regular split. And so there, I can make sure I'm getting this horizontal wall, and just choose inside there, and that's going to break it at that point. Don't worry if you get a line there. You can use join later to fix that up. Or I'll show you there's a few ways you can take that out, but don't worry about that too much. So then in my 3D view, now back to paint, and I can choose just that side of the wall. Remember, you've got the wall joins tool if that little bit there is annoying, but in fact that is the end of another wall. No, in fact what I'd do there is it's probably taking things a bit too far because you may not even see that, but if it's an issue for you, you can try using again the wall join tool. Oh yeah, okay, so again this wall here probably could be split as well, which would solve a lot of problems because we don't want the inside there to be the timber panel being inside the bathroom, but we want it to be on this side. So if you have paint and you want to remove it, you've got the little down arrow next to paint, and you can go to remove paint. So now I can remove it from that area. So if you make a mistake or you just want to take it off, you've got remove paint as well as paint. Okay, now this little bit of wall here probably should be vertical actually, sorry, that's just me being stupid. So here we go. Yeah, that would be better. Alright, so anyhow, once you get used to it, you can probably get most of those walls done just by switching between those two different panel directions. Okay, so I'll just quickly do the fireplace because that's the last major thing. Actually, sorry, no, I'll do the floor first because that's the same as the thing you've just done. So, okay, so the floor is wood. So wood flooring, similar to what you've just used, but different wood. Okay, so walls and floors work the same way. So I'll basically just go through the same process, but it'll be with a floor instead. So with your floor, you can just go to Edit Type, Duplicate. The floor, the main floor going under the building.
Okay, so floor.
Yep, just select it. Yep. Edit Type. Yep. So I'm going to call it concrete wood finish. Should do. So it would probably be concrete with wood above, or actually sidler. No, it could be steel or wood timber framed. Who knows? So it doesn't really matter though. We'll leave it as concrete structure and put wood floorboards over it. So I'm just going to click Edit there, again next to structure, just like you do for a wall. But this one you might have a few layers. If you've got a few layers like mine does, then delete most of them. And in fact, maybe just in case you only have one, I'll delete all of the ones at the bottom. So I've got these layers down below the core boundary. You can just click onto any of those if you have them and then press delete until you've just got the one left in between your two core boundaries. Don't worry too much about what the thickness is. I'm going to leave mine on 200. And then I'm going to go to Insert to add in a new layer above that. And I'll click the Up button to move it up to the top. And so this time I am going to add in an extra layer essentially for the wood flooring. And even though it wouldn't be, let's just pretend it's a floating timber floor, so I'm going to make the thickness there just 20 mil. Yep. So insert and then up down the bottom. So you've got to make sure it's all the way at the top. So make sure you click the up button until you can't click on it anymore. 20 mil or something like that for the thickness is all you need. And to see what you've done so far, you can click the preview button down the bottom next to OK, and you'll see a picture of your floor. So you should see a layer on top if you've given it the thickness. If you haven't, just make sure you put that 20 mil or so thickness in. Then you've got the function. Now, for interior design and decoration, I think Finish 2 is all you should ever need to use. Your function there. So just choose that, Finish 2, there from the list there, under function. Yep. And so now we can go to the material. So just like before, click where it says by category, then browse, and it'll probably have one of your previous materials selected. Doesn't really matter which one, wood panel horizontal or wood panel vertical. You can duplicate either of those to get started, so I'm just going to right click and then duplicate, and we'll call this wood flooring. Which they already have, so make it wood flooring, wood floorboards maybe. Just because they already have wood flooring. Their wood flooring's no good though, so we can't use that. So the shading, maybe you could have slightly different colour. So I'm just going to click on that colour swatch and make it a little bit lighter so it doesn't read as dark as the walls. So here, it's good practice just getting used to that. And now under appearance, I'm going to change it to a different different sort of floor. Yeah, and I think here I'm just going to use my regular cedar floor. So clicking on that image name, and then you'll find a file called cedar fence. Now, how saturated is this? Yeah.
Cedar what? Fence.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm just going to check actually.
One of the dark one is JK.
Yeah, so
One was modified on the 19th February.
yeah, I think said fence, not cedar fence. Sorry. So the second one, the lighter one. And then the size you can get to again just by clicking on the swatch. And so I forgot to duplicate there, so cancel and have to start again. Sorry about that. So do it again. So wood, floorboards, and so before changing the appearance, don't do what I did. Make sure you duplicate. So clicking on the appearance tab, right click, and then duplicate. Really, really important. And then change the image to that one. So said fence. Now I'm just thinking, is this one even better? Yeah. No, it's a bit too much like decking. No, I think this previous one's... Well, it's just that it is a little bit like that. You've got fairly obvious gaps there. Yeah, I think let's just use that one, sorry. So, said fence plank bandara seamless is the one I'm going to use actually.
Is that the one that's listed?
Yeah. And then clicking on the swatch there, it is, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 planks. And I'm going to make it about the same size or a little smaller than the wall panels. So if they were the same size, that would be 800. I'm going to make them a little bit smaller, so let's make it 600. Because they are fairly narrow planks. And they're a little bit shinier, so I'm going to set the finish to, I think maybe even semi-gloss. No, I think that's too reflective, sorry. No, I'll go for satin varnish. 600. Yeah, either. They're both going to be the same. Yep. And I'm going to change the scene to plain. That should give a pretty good idea how to look. Yeah, the scene, just, yep, to plain. So click on the down arrow next to the cube, yep. So the scene doesn't affect how it renders anyway, it's just so you can see in this preview something different. But as long as you've got that size in, 600, and then click OK. Okay, so the boards are running the wrong way. They're supposed to be perpendicular to that, so I can go back in and just change the rotation there. It's a bit hard to predict with things like floors, which way it's going to run. It all depends how the floor was made. So, so now I can just go back in and change that rotation to 90. And there we are. Yes, I think that's pretty close. Oh, a thickness, yeah. So you've got to put in a thickness there, right where you are. So, yeah, it might have gone. So, yeah, so, yeah. And then the other one needs a thickness too, below it. So I'd make that about 200. Yep. Yep. Okay, so maybe I'll do the fireplace in another video, then we should just have some time to do some Photoshop.